going to talk about personal individuation. So there's a distinction that is, I don't think it's that subtle, but it's really often passed over, almost always passed over, between personal individuation and creative individuation, I would say, basically. So, like, a human being has, a human being is a plant, kind of. A plant, that's a metaphor, obviously, but it's a pretty accurate one. Like, there's this way in which our souls are growing in a way that's invisible to us, or like only dimly visible to us, and that there are like concrete aspects of this process which are which like it's really valuable to keep in mind. For example, another great metaphor, really useful metaphor, is the idea of there being a kind of blood circulating in your soul as you're growing, as it's maturing, and that when you enter into like violent situations, or you're harmed or humiliated in some way or abused, that like it like cuts the flesh of your soul, and the blood scabs over, so that you get a spiritual wound. And at first the wound is really painful, and you experience it actively as a problem. Like, it actually affects your emotions and the real immediacy of your experience. And then at a certain point, that spiritual blood coagulates into a scab. Or another similar metaphor, that a bone is broken, let's say, and then the broken bone sets. And that's a little more of a powerful metaphor in a way, because what that conveys is that the scabbing of the blood and the setting of the broken bone can happen badly, or it can happen in a way that gives you a limp, right? That like that impairs you in a way that then you're not really conscious of. Like, you can forget that you ever had circulation going through that part of your spiritual body, and it gets kind of atrophied, and then you kind of work around it. You use your sort of spiritual neuroplasticity to kind of work around it and create adaptive structures, which are your ego, to sort of ignore it. And then, like, if it's if you push, like, you can't consciously really like a fully accurate thought about like what happened would kind of rupture, like it would re-break the bone, or it would peel the scab, and but at a certain point in life, that can actually be a good thing and not even be that painful. So, and that's basically what psychoanalysis is supposed to do, which is, and this is something that I think people forget also, that like the idea in psychoanalysis is that like your unconscious thoughts, they're not just like not conscious. They are like they're not just not there. They're actually being spoken. Like there's actually a mind that is thinking them. It's just not a mind that you're conscious of. But it really is there, um, uh, experiencing moment to moment life in a kind of maybe more like nebulous way than the kind of fine-tuned conscious mind is experiencing it. But like that it's like similar to like a pet that you have, or a horse that you're riding, as Faulkner has put it really powerfully in a book of his that I read. I forget which one. But it's like it's a living thing that is part of you, that is kind of more powerful than you, but you're a little bit smarter than it in a kind of a way that relates to like precision, but in other ways it's smarter than you. And oh yeah, and so then in psychoanalysis, when you're actually doing psychoanalysis, it's like it can speak through your words, like the chain of speech that's kind of coming out of you, like I'm talking right now, can be hijacked for a moment by your unconscious, and it can say something really profound that you'll never hear yourself because it's outside of your little personal Overton window, but the psychoanalyst can hear and understand. And like I've been in psychoanalysis, and I've also done sort of informal, kind of just for fun, lay analysis with other people. And like if you're acting like the psychoanalyst and someone else is authentically free associating in front of you, like it totally happens. You can totally see this like other layer of meaning that like they're not aware of. I mean, I think lay analysis should be happening all the time. Like in a civilization I want to live in, like friends get together and like lay analyze each other and stuff. So anyway, I was intending to talk specifically about the distinction between personal individuation and creative individuation. So basically, creative individuation is certainly an aspect of personal individuation. Creative being, that there's some kind of unique signature. There's just some kind of project that only you can pursue, that no one else sees, this vision that only you have, and they'll never see it until you execute it. And they'll even, like, if they see early versions of it, they'll just be like, what is this? But then if you really push it into its realization and it crystallizes, then suddenly it can communicate to others. Like I would argue that for many people, that's what their life is kind of should be about. That doing that, and sort of getting your mind off of like less important, more immediate things, and doing that, it will be what's best for you. It will be what's best for the people around you. It will be what's best for civilization. That like humans are these creatures that can execute visions that are kind of gifts from God, that increase kind of abundance and variety and sensitivity. But so I mean, I'm very interested in that topic. But the thing is that I don't think that all humans have that drive. Um, and you can also have that drive for a certain amount, for a certain like amount of your life, and then be done with it. That there is a maybe done with it altogether, and then you devote the rest of your life to, maybe it's your family, maybe it's monasticism or something like that, or maybe it's a new, completely different project of that kind. Um, but I am not identical to my creative work, for example, um, and and I think that humanists, like liberal humanists, can they can be a little bit authoritarian in imposing the uh, dogma of self-realization on everyone. Um, like I think that in heaven, everybody should be allowed to pursue the drive, their creative drive. And maybe everyone should, I mean, I don't know exactly what education should be like. Like, maybe everyone should be forced, like in education, the way education is compulsory, like everyone should have to be given the opportunity to make sure that that's not what their drive is, that's not what their personal drive is, to be committed to like the ethics of psychoanalysis. They're a kind of entrepreneurial drive or creative drive, but you can live. I would say that you can live a completely fulfilling life, choosing, for example, to take care of other people, or to take care of not just people not in just a religious sense, but like take care of just a couple of other people. Maybe it's your partner, or maybe it's your family, or maybe it's just being someone who has like salons or something, and helps artists meet one another or whatever, right? Like, it's like those people who are devoted to that aren't necessarily acting in a like repressed way, where if they were really happy, they would just be taking creative leaps or whatever. Anyway, well, I would actually call that a hypothesis. I don't know, right? Like I'm not that kind of person. But I am wary of imposing creative self-realization on everyone, and I can see the way that liberal humanism and capitalism can exploit that idea to force people who are more traditionalist to sort of not enjoy life the way that they want to. And it's possible that, it's possible it could ultimately be proven to me that actually this is the essence of being human, is having a drive like that. I don't rule it out, but I think there should definitely be more space held for not doing that. But again, like we live in a world where there are entire geopolitical forces in the world that won't let you do liberal humanism, and so there are billions of people who have in their minds that liberal humanism is decadent and shouldn't be allowed and should be destroyed and that kind of thing. And so my main focus, I think, is endorsing humanism, but then also going a step further, basically, and I think I think this is actually really useful and important, because I think a lot of like religious and trad people feel like they are being erased, and they're not wrong. That there's a way to sort of do this where first of all, of course, where first of all you can believe in a personal loving God, which is just, I think, is just objectively true and real, but also that you can be even more postmodern and create a space for the kind of trad, allow trad lifestyle in a context where it's just one option, but it's not allowed to impose itself on liberalism either. So it's like a meta-liberalism. Which is, I guess, maybe just radicalism.